Hey, what's going on, guys? Hope everybody's doing well and having a great day. I don't know if you guys have noticed the amount of energy that's on the move. It seems like the activity around the Earth with regard to volcanic activity has increased here recently. It seems like there's more earthquakes here recently, and there also seems to be an increase in meteors. There's a lot of reports over here at the American Meteor Society. In fact, in November, there was a stretch of 5 reports on November the 8th spanning both hemispheres around the world, and they've continued. I've even actually seen on the GOES 16 weather satellite that I have on the Western Hemisphere. And every once in a while, I'll see evidence of a meteor on the GOES 16 satellite. So we're going to come back and take a look at all that data here in just a moment. Back on December the 7th, Mars was very close to the moon. You guys may have seen it in the early evening sky. At one point, it dipped behind the moon. Here's a couple of photos sent in by Denise R. out of Winnie, Texas, who saw it. Christy S. out of Henderson, Nevada. Kim H. out of Buffalo, New York. That is Mars, and that is the moon. And this is something totally different than what Mandy saw from down in Cochise County, Arizona, in Sierra Vista, Arizona. This is what Mandy saw in the sky near the moon back on November 16th. She saw that in the sky, and it was difficult to see. She did manage to get this picture of it. She didn't take a video of that object because it was so difficult to see, but her entire family watched this thing right here in the nighttime sky behind the moon, being illuminated by the moonlight only. It did not put off light. It was a dark object, and this was also observed, or at least it looks like it was observed, from the International Space Station. Jonathan shared this collection of images with me from November the 15th from the International Space Station. That looks very similar to the object that Mandy saw from Sierra Vista, Arizona. So the International Space Station may have picked up the same object that Mandy did from southern Arizona. But now back to the Mars moon show that was in the sky the other night. Again, this was the night of December 7th of 2022. This was as seen from Arizona at 7:05 p.m. and this lasted until 7:34 p.m. And I recorded, that's Mars right there. This is a camera that I use for recording. This is a map of the nighttime sky. That's where Mars was supposed to be, and it indeed was right there. And I filmed the event at least until Mars dipped in behind the moon, and then I stopped because it was over an hour long. So I recorded the first 30 minutes of it, and here's the video that I recorded. This is in extreme fast forward, so this does not go on for 30 minutes. This goes on for less than a minute, as once again I put it in fast forward, and I had to keep adjusting the camera angle because it was obviously ascending in the eastern sky. And you can see Mars is getting closer and closer to the moon, and eventually it will dip in behind the moon. This photo over here on the left was when it first started, and you can see it's getting closer and closer. The gap is closing, and here in just a few seconds you're going to see Mars disappear into the moonlight and actually behind the moon from our view out here in Arizona. And it was visible at different times around the world. Out here in Arizona, it was visible from 7 to around 8:30. The dip behind the moon didn't occur until 7:34, as you're going to see here in a minute. And it came back out the other side of the moon around 8:34. So it disappeared behind the moon for about an hour. I didn't want to record the entire event because I didn't know if my battery would even last that long. So I was thankful to get 30 minutes, and right there you can see Mars did indeed dip behind the moon at 7:34 p.m. It is now completely invisible. Right here, I switched the format. That's Mars right there, and you can barely see it sticking out as it went behind the moon. Visible in the eastern sky on December 7th of 2022. Cool video here sent in by Mary Hall of some very intense lightning picked up from the International Space Station. Get a load of that, would you? Look at how intense that was. This was from a few nights ago. Mary noticed this lightning from the International Space Station. Almost looks like a planet right there. See that? The round feature just bursting with light. Another great catch from the International Space Station by Mary Hall. Thank you, Mary. Greatly appreciate that. Wanted to come back over here now to the American Meteor Society, as it seems like there's been an increase in overall fireball activity around the world. Looks like the reports have increased. At least in the month of November, it was very busy. And I've even received a few videos videos of fireballs in the nighttime, and one you're going to see here in a minute that looks like there may have been one spotted in the daytime sky. 2 videos here sent in by Ken Garden out of Trenton, Florida from December 6th. Right here's a fireball, slow-moving fireball on the night of December 6th. This was a different camera view. Here's yet another angle of a different fireball right there, falling almost straight down, and there was the moon up there above this large fireball visible from Florida on the night of December 6th. The first meteor you saw was around 9:20, I think, and this one here was approaching midnight. As you can see, a big slow-moving fireball moving through the sky above Trenton, Florida. Here's another video of what looks like a large meteor that was noticed from Louisiana by Candace. Let me turn the volume down here just a second. This was yesterday, December 9th at 5:13 p.m. That does not appear to be an airplane. That looks like a large ball of light with a tail behind it, like a meteor moving through the sky. And that's what compelled Candace to take this video, its similarities to a meteor. And when I zoom in close, you can see a wobbly tail behind it. Usually a contrail is more straight. This one here looked like a meteor tail, a large meteor at that. Slow-moving meteor like we just saw from Trenton, Florida. Here's another video of what looks like a large meteor in the daytime sky. This was around 5:13 p.m., visible from Louisiana. This format here, I just simply reverse the light. Light is dark, dark is light, trying to zoom in on the object, and it does look like the tail is just glowing. That doesn't look like a typical contrail in the sky. That looks like a large meteor noticed by Candace from Louisiana. Great job. Back to the volcanoes. Here's a map of the current active volcanoes around the world, and once again, there are 47 active volcanoes in some capacity right now around the world. Coming out here to the big island of Hawaii, looking at Mauna Loa, doesn't look like it's erupting as much as it was. You don't really see any activity over here at zoom.earth. The activity that is showing up is over here at Kilauea. You can see the glowing orange features right here. That's where Kilauea is at. In fact, I'll zoom in and show you. See? There's Kilauea. That's what's glowing on the nighttime map here, over here at zoom.earth. And coming over to the top of Mauna Kea, this is the Gemini cloud cam from the Gemini Observatory. This is Mauna Loa, and you can see the eruption has slowed down considerably compared to what it was 3 or 4 days ago. It's still erupting, but just not as noticeable and not nearly as strong. In fact, the lava flow has slowed down exponentially. According to this view right here, the sky is definitely not glowing as bright as it was. In fact, right there, you don't even hardly see anything, where the days before it was still glowing brightly after the sun came up over the horizon. So still a lot of volcano activity around the world. Once again, 47 active volcanoes right now, multiple earthquakes, and some of these earthquakes are in unusual places. I noticed an earthquake up here in central Maine and an earthquake up here in New Brunswick. Far up here in the northeastern United States and eastern Canada. Here's another earthquake here that's kind of in a rare location, but not so rare. Recently, there's been several earthquakes here in central South Carolina, where a couple years ago, that was pretty much unheard of, and now there's earthquakes there quite frequently. But overall, there seems to be an increase in earthquake activity. Once again, an increase in fireball activity, like something has things stirred up. And coming over to the homepage of the website, today's feature photo is of Mars and the Moon from the night of December 7th. And coming over to the Schumann resonance, you can see there's a weird signature that's been present for the last 72 hours. Look at that, a weird type of energy being detected in the Schumann resonance. That is unusual. You don't see that very often either. Checking in on the planetary K index, this is directly influenced by the sun, and there's not too much going on here. It's actually fairly quiet. Hopping over to the Yellowstone supervolcano caldera, looking at the seismographs that monitor the mighty supervolcano. All in all, pretty quiet. Not a whole lot going on at the supervolcano caldera. I have an interesting photo I want to share with you guys that was sent in by Ray out of Dunlap, California. He noticed those colorful rings that we see every once in a while in the sky near the sun, and not necessarily necessarily near the sun, but in the atmosphere, in the proximity of the sun. And he also couldn't help but notice the distortion over here at around the 7 o'clock position in the sky, away from the sun, that was also colored. You can see these colorful clouds right here. But for some reason, here's an up-close view of that same location, and this is what caught his attention more so than the color in the sky. Actually, it was the color that drew him to the sky, and then he couldn't help but notice the distortion right here. See that? How the clouds look out of focus? In fact, they are out of focus. That's how they turned out in the picture, and that is how they looked in the sky. He shared that with me. I'm sharing that with you guys. That was a really unique observation sent in by Ray out of Dunlap, California. Great job on the photos and videos, guys. Keep them coming. If you have any photos you'd like to share, you can send those to reports@mrmbb333.com. If you have any videos you'd like to share that won't attach to the email for whatever reason, come over here to the homepage of the website, look for this red tab that says Have a Large Video. Simply click on that red tab, drag and drop your video into that red banner. Please include your first name, date, and location, and I'll take it from there. Thanks for watching. Have a super day, and be safe out there.